Okay, team, welcome to this explainer. As your lead engineer, I really want to walk us through a massive paradigm shift we need to evaluate for our testing pipeline. We're going to be exploring a move away from that brittle, fragile automation we're basically fighting with every single day, and shifting over to a totally new concept, intent-first testing with an intelligent platform called OrbitTest. Let's just dive right in.
So, there's this core philosophy we really need to adopt here, and it's simply this. Test what users see, not what developers write. Our front-end complexity has completely exploded lately, right? With custom rendering and dynamic UIs everywhere, and the gap between how our users actually experience our apps and how our automation frameworks interact with them, it's just grown way too wide. This quote right here is the absolute anchor for everything we're about to look at today.
All right, here's our agenda for today's explainer. We'll hit the modern automation problem, the intent-first philosophy, dive into the modular architecture, look at Orbit Vision, cover smart diagnostics and CI/CD, and wrap up with the future of testing.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the modern automation problem.
We have all been there, and let's be honest, it is literally exhausting. You write a test, and then the very next day, it breaks for absolutely no reason at all. We are constantly pulling our hair out, fighting with fragile XPath expressions, highly unstable CSS selectors, and flaky executions. And why? Well, because traditional frameworks basically force us to test implementation details, like the internal HTML structure and the DOM hierarchy. But think about it. Our users never see selectors. They see buttons, they see flows, they see visuals. Testing the DOM is exactly what makes our test suite so completely unreadable and just so incredibly frustrating to maintain.
Moving on to Section 2, the intent-first philosophy. Just notice the difference in approach here. Over on the left, traditional automation gives you this super brittle, DOM-dependent locator that, frankly, breaks the second a developer adds a new div to the page. But then look on the right. OrbitTest's intent-driven approach simply tells the platform the exact intent. Click the checkout button. Bam! This contrast perfectly illustrates the huge difference between writing unreadable, messy code versus clean automation that reads exactly like natural human interaction.
And when that clean API syntax is actually put into action, the real-world engineering impact is massive. Onboarding new engineers becomes significantly easier, our pull request reviews become so much simpler, and our long-term maintenance costs, they absolutely plummet because the code actually documents the user behavior itself.
Okay, Section 3, under the hood, modular architecture.
Now, OrbitTest isn't just another automation wrapper layered on top of old tech. No, it is a seriously robust, modular platform built for enterprise scale where every single subsystem has a very clear, distinct responsibility. As engineers, I know we don't just want syntax sugar, right? We need a reliable, heavy-duty engine backing it all up.
So, the workflow here is incredibly logical. It all starts at the Orbit shell, which acts as our operational gateway for configuration and discovery. Then, it passes right through Orbit Core, which acts as the public API layer, keeping our developer experience super clean. And finally, the whole shebang is orchestrated by the execution brain known as Orbit Mission Control, which handles all our retries, sharding, and worker execution.
Now, the absolute crucial point here is Orbit Surface. While Orbit Core handles that beautiful, clean API we talked about, Orbit Surface is the specific subsystem doing the heavy lifting under the hood. It takes our human-readable intent and actively translates it into real, tangible browser actions. It handles the actual clicking, the typing, the text resolution, and the waiting. It's kind of the magic translator for the whole system.
And to ensure rock-solid reliability across the board, OrbitTest relies on a few other key subsystems. Orbit Capsule guarantees perfectly isolated browser environments for every single test to prevent any session interference or cookie leakage. Orbit Signal handles the low-level Chrome DevTools protocol communication via WebSockets. And hey, if we ever do need advanced traditional targeting, Orbit Locator is still right there as a fallback for complex XPath or CSS matching.
Let's jump to Section 4, Orbit Vision, beyond the DOM.
As you guys know, modern web applications don't always use standard HTML anymore. Traditional frameworks completely fall apart when the DOM disappears, but Orbit Vision is a dedicated visual automation engine designed specifically to handle those non-DOM elements. We're talking Canvas, WebGL, custom-rendered UIs, and even interactive maps.
By leveraging advanced stuff like pixel assertions, visual change tracking, color detection, and coordinate interactions, Orbit Vision gives us the superpower to test interfaces that are purely graphics-oriented. It just beautifully adapts to the dynamic visual rendering systems that, frankly, represent the future of web development.
All right, moving into Section 5, Smart Diagnostics and CI/CD. Let's face facts here. Tests are eventually going to fail, and how quickly we can diagnose them is what actually matters for our velocity. Traditional debugging, it's a nightmare. You usually get some cryptic timeout message and an entirely unhelpful stack trace, leaving you completely guessing what happened in the CI environment. But Orbit Smart Reports completely flip this script. They give us a comprehensive, deep visibility timeline of exactly what happened, packing in full screenshots, trace timelines, failed network requests, and even live browser state.
Seriously, with tools like live step debugging and interactive trace timelines, our whole debugging experience shifts entirely. We go from merely knowing that a test failed, which is frustrating enough, to visually and contextually understanding exactly why it failed and what evidence exists. This is a real game changer that drastically reduces the time we spend agonizing over broken builds.
Plus, this platform isn't just some local developer tool. It is natively built from the ground up for our own modern DevOps workflows. It scales effortlessly across parallel workers in the cloud, automatically handles flaky test recovery, supports sharding to speed up our execution times, and it integrates right into our repositories with GitHub annotations and machine-readable JUnit artifacts. It's ready to go.
And finally, Section 6, the future of testing.
Because of its highly modular internal architecture, keeping it simple on the outside but incredibly extensible on the inside, OrbitTest is already paving the way for the next generation of testing. It's laying the solid groundwork for AI-assisted debugging, semantic UI understanding, and intelligent automation recovery, all without becoming some bloated, slow monolith. It moves exactly at the speed of our product.
We've all felt the absolute pain of the old ways, and today, we've seen the modular power and clarity of this new way. So, I want to leave you all with this final question as we evaluate our testing strategy moving forward. Isn't it about time we put our tests into Orbit and actually test what our users see? Let's rethink how we automate. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, team.